There are so many things to stress about when it comes to international travel. And with my upcoming Europe trip, you know what I'm not stressing about? Finding Wi-Fi or getting scammed on overpriced SIM cards. I'm using Saily, the eSIM app that keeps you connected in over 200 countries without the airport hassle or those ridiculous roaming fees. It's made by the folks behind NordVPN, so privacy and security covered. You install Saily once, pick a plan, and you're good to go. Whether you're hopping countries or just need solid data from the moment you land. And bonus, Saily has a built-in ad blocker that can save you up to 28% on mobile data. That's more scrolling and less wasting data. So if you're traveling soon, do this now. Download the Saily app in your app store and use the code DATEABLE at checkout for 15% off your first data plan. That's DATEABLE for 15% off. Stay connected, stay smart, get Saily. Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Krafchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Brunch Talk.
Welcome back, everyone. We're excited to be back for another week.
How are y'all doing? How's summer? How's
life?
How's life in general?
I always love when people are like, how is life? And you're like, how do I even answer that? Where do I start?
Where do I even begin? It's been such a weird week of I've been trying to get ChatGPT to help me with my life.
How's that going for you?
Actually, pretty good. So I found this GPT for productivity, and I plug in everything I need to do in the week, and then I give it like prioritization. And then it just ushers me through the day. It's like, okay, based on your human design. So I took this human design quiz that's like, I'm optimized for creativity between 10 and 12 and 3 and 4. So it's like, okay, based on your human design in the morning, let's knock off these admin tasks. Between 10 and 12, let's really use that time for like creative thinking. And just like ushers me through the day. And then even when we have scheduling changes, I'll just type it in. I'm like, oh, okay, my meeting got pushed. And then it'll just spit out a schedule for me. It's pretty cool.
I like it. It.
Yeah, it's like I would assume that's what having a personal assistant would feel like.
Yeah, I guess now everyone has their own personal assistant. I'm going to try it. Yeah. I like this idea.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And then it will tell you, you don't really need to do this thing today. But if you have the brain power, you can try to knock it out. So I like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's my ChatGPT story.
I'm like, how do we transition to our topic? There's no way.
I don't think we need to.
We don't need to. So we have a good one today. We wanted to really dive into this topic about dating isn't as personal as we make it, because this comes up a lot. And I know personally, I took dating so personally for years. And it really made it so much harder when you were in that state of viewing everything as a reflection of your worth.
And why do we take it so personally? Because it's all about rejection. But guess what? Rejection isn't a reflection of your worth.
It's not. And then when someone ghosts or flakes or they're just not feeling it, we always take that to mean it's something personal to us. But most of the times, it's not actually about us. We have no idea what's going on for them.
It's not you, it's them. It's about where they're at, what they're looking for, what they're not ready to give, what they're even going through. And their behavior says more than that could ever tell you, right? It's like they can tell you one thing, but it's really about what they're experiencing.
Yeah, and dating just gets so much easier when you stop taking every no to mean that there is something wrong and you're not dateable or lovable. And the reality is that 99% of people will not be a match. And I think having this reframe, you could say, okay, that sounds like kind of depressing. Most people that I meet won't be more. But I actually think it really helped me personally to be like, okay, if that's the stat, there's nothing wrong if something doesn't work out. In fact, that's actually the norm.
And the point is, you're not for everyone. There is a lid for every pot, and you're not going to be that lid for every pot. And isn't that liberating to know? Because how tiring would that be if you had to be that lid?
I don't know. I do think like it's so easy to go there though. And that's why we want to devote an episode to this topic. Because like I remember when I was dating and nothing ever moved past like the second or third date, like I felt like I had like, there was something like wrong with me. And I'm like, why can't anything go? And I
Yeah.
think sometimes when you see things in patterns too, and that's a challenge with dating, it's a benefit of dating is that there's a lot of, possibilities and options, and you don't have to just like settle for the person down the street. But the challenge is when everything is happening like rapidly all the time, like if you get ghosted once, not a big deal. But if that happens like 3 times in a week, you're like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. And then you start thinking, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Because
Was
you're
this
the
something
common
I'm doing?
denominator.
And you can only experience this from your own point of view. You can't experience it from someone else's point of view. So it's so easy for us to get caught up to say, oh, this always happens to me.
Right.
Why am I the one that meets people like this? It starts feeling like a pattern. And when you start thinking it's a pattern, guess what? It becomes a pattern. But if you truly just looked at everything objectively, it's probably not a pattern. It's probably like a few one-offs here and there. And then you've probably had some great connections with others that you just kind of forgot about.
I feel like this comes up a lot when we're like coaching and helping people. There's always this like pattern mentality, and they're like, no one likes me. I don't meet anyone good. And then they're like, oh yeah, this person, they wanted to go on another date. I wasn't interested. And it's like, okay, that's fair. You don't have to go on a date with every person, but that also shows you this isn't a pattern. That's an example. We're just ignoring the example that's out of the narrative.
Yes. And we forget that there have been some amazing people who've crossed our paths.
Yeah.
And for some reason, misery loves company. I was just saying this to a friend that was like, oh, so down about dating. And I was like, yeah, you're probably going to attract the most miserable mofos out there because you're in this state. But remember, when you are confident, happy, feeling like you're a lucky person, you probably attract similar people. So it's all energy based.
Right. But I think a big piece of it too, it's like looking back on your history, like when have you rejected someone? And when you did, yes, like it could be that like, I don't know, I'm just like thinking of this person that I know wanted to date me and I just like wasn't into it. Yeah. And there was like nothing wrong with this person. Like objectively, they were like a good looking guy. Like they had a good job. Like they had like a good life, like hobbies, friends, like all the stuff. Like there was nothing wrong with this person. They just weren't right for me. And I think a big piece of it was like our like sense of humor and personalities didn't jive. So it always felt like a flat convo. But that doesn't mean that like the next person they meet, like that would be a good combo. It doesn't mean they're like a flawed individual just because it didn't work out with like me. Right? It's like you meet so many people, and some people you click with really well and others you don't, but that doesn't mean like they're going to have a total opposite experience with the next person they meet.
Yeah, we call this roadkill. A lot of us have experienced being roadkill, and we've also given other people the opportunity to be roadkill because some people you just don't have a connection with, and some people are just victims of what you're going through.
Yeah.
Like there have been times in my life where I was not in the right headspace to even meet someone amazing. And if like the most interesting, wonderful person came into my life, I would not even see them. I think I would be blinded. And it's the same thing. You can feel like, oh, if only this person could see how wonderful I am for them, how perfect I am for them, how much better their life would be with me in it. It doesn't matter. You can't make someone else see that. If you feel that way, it means that this person's not ready to see you in that light, and they may never be ready.
No, I mean, like I look back at some of my exes, and that is in quotes because a lot of them weren't ready to commit. That was the narrative. They were not ready to commit, and they didn't want to be in a committed relationship. And I look at these people, and they're still not in committed relationships now. 10 to 15 years later. So to me, it's like kind of reassuring that I'm like, look, like it actually didn't have to do with me. It's just who they are and their choice. There's nothing wrong with that. But like when you take it so personally, it like wears at your self-esteem unnecessarily. Like I feel like there was a time in my life that I was like, oh my God, this guy will not commit to me. What am I? Why am I so flawed? Like, what am I doing wrong? And then I look at them now and I'm like, yeah, they still aren't committed.
Yeah. So So then where do you draw the line? Where do you say, okay, this is not about me versus I have some growing to do. I
Mm,
should learn from this. Or maybe this is a pattern I'm experiencing and I should transcend it out of this.
I don't know if you've observed this, but I feel like people usually end up on the spectrum, like at the far ends of this.
Yeah.
Like the people that take it way too personally, that like probably are kind of taking it over personally. And then the others that like think that like they are right all the time and nothing could be done wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, of course, there's a happy middle in there that I think is always hard to get to with everything. But I would say also the pattern. And again, we talked about earlier, like not excluding parts of the pattern, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you're getting, it's why I loved when we did Exit Interview. We did our
Yeah.
side podcast. You can go check out
Our
Exit
side chick.
our side chick podcast, Exit Interview, limited series. But I think what was good is like when so what we did for context for people is that we interviewed people's exes or past dates or situationships, whatever. And I think like if someone was like, I'm not attracted to them, and then 5 other people said, I am attracted, then that's not a pattern, right? That's just
Yeah.
someone's opinion. And again, you're not going to be, there's a lid for every pot, and it's okay if that pot does not belong to that person. Or that lid, whatever is the right analogy of that.
Whatever, lid,
You know
pot,
what I mean.
whatever it is.
You know what I mean. But I think when, let's say an example here, that on every date, you're talking the entire time and don't make room for someone to hear what's going on in their life. And like things that aren't like a fundamental flaw with you, but it's an action that you're doing that isn't serving you in any way.
Yeah.
So I think that to me is an opportunity. This comes up a lot. Let's say you hear this frequently, or your friends tell you, or your friends can see it. Maybe you don't have to like interview your exes. And let's say you see something that's getting in your way. To me, that's like an easy tweak. I'm not fundamentally changing who I am as a person, but I am going to change a behavior that doesn't actually make me like, isn't the most conducive to dating.
Right. And I like you're separating out the person from the behavior.
Yes.
Behavior is easy to change, or hopefully it's easy to change, or at least we should be open to it. But the right person would embrace who you are fundamentally as a person. So the difference, I guess, if I were to think about this out loud, is if you're too much for the last person, they're like, oh, I couldn't date Yue. She was too analytical about dating, whatever. And then the next person's like, I really love the fact that you're really analytical about dating. That's different because that's like fundamentally who I am. But if it's a behavior of what you just gave, I don't allow someone else to speak, or I am mean. I just, I erupt and I have anger issues, then that's a fundamental behavior that I can look to grow from.
I would argue, though, for this like analytical on dating example, I know it's just an example, but I think sometimes who we are in dating isn't actually who we authentically are either. Like a lot of times, like we think we need to like be a certain way to date. So I would also challenge, let's say you were getting feedback that you were analytical in dating. Again, we're just going with this example.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm actually not like this in other parts of life. Then maybe that actually is a reassessment. That's not a personality trait to you, but you're behaving in a way that you think you should be doing to be better at dating. I'm just saying that I think this is actually very common because like I remember like for years, like I would never like text first or I would withhold. I wouldn't tell someone I had a good time. And that's so not how I was in any other part of life and with friends. I was very expressive. So like if someone like said like, oh, I felt like you weren't interested enough or you were, playing it cool, and I want someone more expressive, like it actually would be serving me better to be my real self.
Yeah, right. So as a question, you be the filter, a question for yourself. Does this feel like who I am and aligned with the values I live by? And this is just a manifestation of that. Or is this something that I think I should be doing or something I've fallen into, but it's actually not authentic to who I am?
Yeah. I think like in general, if we're more authentic on dates, this goes to our saying more like scare them away. Be yourself, and the right person isn't down with that. That's really important info to know. In
Yeah.
fact, that's actually a better success metric of a date than getting the next date. Was I able to be the best version of me on this date? Did I feel comfortable being myself and not holding back and not overthinking and being like I am with my friends and loved ones? And if the answer is yes, and someone is not down for you, then great. Like you saved yourself time and energy, whether that's like it just wasn't the right fit or they had something else going on in their life, whatever it might be, it almost doesn't matter. They're just not the right person. But if you go into a date and you're like trying to be this like date version of you and like just to get the next date, like that to me, it's feeling like we're like putting so much value into getting that date that compromises like, does this person even like me and do I like them? I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
I think a major aha moment for me after doing 10 years of this podcast is when I felt drained or exhausted from dating. It wasn't the bad dating behavior I was experiencing. I was being inauthentic. And when you're constantly being someone you're not, overthinking what you're supposed to do versus just going with your gut of what you want to do, it is really exhausting.
Yeah.
When you're constantly playing a different character or the character you think you should be and doing this dance of modern dating that we've been told us to do, it is exhausting because you're not doing what you would naturally do.
It's also exhausting to be always thinking of the behaviors of other people. And I think it's like Mel Robbins' Let Them theory. I did finally buy the book and I'm reading it.
Oh,
but
you
it's
did?
like,
Okay.
If they decide to ghost and not respond or bad follow through, whatever it is, let them be them and just be in someone else's orbit. Like it always goes back to that conversation we had with our friend Sonica on this podcast. She was a guest and she was talking about the lowest common denominator and how she felt like she had to sink to the level of others. Like if they ghosted, she would ghost. If they took 4 days to respond back, she would take 5 days and just like they go down each time.
Yeah.
And be like, well, if they give me like 10% effort, I'm going to give them 9% effort. And our take is like, give them 0% effort. And we don't need to worry about them again. Again, it's like not taking it personally. This is their own shit that they're figuring out and dealing with. You're just opting now not to be part of it.
I'm going to bring this back to some current news because we can't talk about dating without talking about getting Coldplayed. So that when that whole controversy happened with, when they're on the Jumbotron getting caught cheating, the amount of content that has surfaced on the internet of people dissecting why they're cheating is mind-boggling to me. Oh, why would he cheat on his wife? They have 2 beautiful kids together. Why would she cheat on her husband? He's from one of the wealthiest families. There was so much like, I think this and I think that. I'm like, y'all, who cares? Who cares why they cheated? They cheated. The behavior is terrible. The behavior is punishable. The behavior is wrong. Can we focus on that versus trying to justify their behavior? And this is exactly what we do in modern dating. We're always trying to justify why someone's not calling back, why someone hasn't texted, why someone hasn't asked you out. Who cares? The behavior is already there. Get your answers by asking them and get the fuck out if you're not getting the answers you want.
And the more important why is this affecting you? Because I do think dating is a mirror. I think it holds up things that are unresolved. And that's why we take it so personally. And look, I get it. Like at the end of the day, we have this whole section in our book about this. We get it. Like dating is personal. Like you're asking someone to love you and be with you and all of that. But I think the act of dating and like finding that person isn't as personal as we make it. It's usually like something unresolved. Like let's say they're, flaking on us last minute. What does that need to be prioritized? What is coming up for you in that you could look at a little deeper? That why to me is a lot more interesting of like, why did they flake?
Yeah. Yeah. Stop with the trying to read people's minds or trying to be a psychic. We've just had so many people recently come to us with that energy
of why do people do this? And why is dating like this? Why do people treat each other so terribly? We cannot control why anybody does anything. What you can control is how it affects you and what you're willing to do about it. And if you're not looking at those two aspects, then you're focusing your energy on the wrong thing, which is ultimately going to drain you and make you into a negative Nancy.
And it's not a reflection of you. Like we were saying earlier, if someone is a ghoster, a bad communicator, they're probably still a ghoster and bad communicator.
With everybody. Yeah.
Unless they got therapy and like did the self-work they needed. It's not like they singled you out and they were like, let me just do this to this person because they are not worth it. You know, like that thought is not what's happening. And it's easy to go there. And I feel like actually this podcast was a reality check for me and doing other things. Because I think when you're siloed in dating, you tend to think like only this is happening to you.
Right.
And then you're like, I remember, for years, I remember like when I was like Tinder first came out and I was going on all these dates and like my friends would be like, oh, what happened to this guy? And I would have to be like, yeah, I never heard from him again. Or he said he didn't want to go out again. And I was like, I did not want to say that because I felt like it made it seem like there was something fundamentally wrong with me, that all these people were like rejecting me. And then now it's just like everyone's like, yeah, that happened. It's hard to get to that next state. And I think it's like clearly it's not good that that's the world we're in. But at the same time, like at least it's, I don't know. I take that back. It's not that it's not good that that's the world we're in. I think that is just the reality of dating, is that most people aren't going to be the person. And sometimes it takes like going out with many people or going even on a couple dates with someone and realizing that it's not the right fit. I do think though, in modern times, people are passing a lot quicker. That's something that is probably different than maybe back in the day. But also, again, not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the modern dating like ecosystem that we're in. And I think really the only way out is to realize that it's not as personal and to not date with the mentality of needing that validation from other people.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of us treat dating like musical chairs. When the music is playing, we're dating, we're casually out there, we're chatting it up, we're having a good time. And when the music stops, which is usually when someone decides, oh, I want to be in a relationship now, they're like, where's that chair?
Yeah.
Where's that chair? If that chair is not there or someone's sitting in that chair, you're like, why? Why did that person get that chair? Why don't I get my own chair? It isn't that crazy, okay? It's not that crazy competitive that we make it out to be. And if you don't get your chair, it means that there was no chair meant for you. Just keep going with the music. But it's just so strange that we feel like it is so, there's so limited number of people out there, like limited number of chairs. And then when we find someone that, we get excited about, like, let's hang on to them because who knows when you're going to have that connection again. That's when you make bad choices, when you feel like there's that urgency.
I feel like I was in that mentality for a really long time. Like the first, when I'd like meet someone I had chemistry with, I was like, it feels rare. And I know a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
And the last time I was dating, I mean, I had Nikki Novo, who I'll always give credit to. She's a medium that we talked to for this podcast. And she said to me, like, you're going to meet your person like before your next birthday, but just keep going. Like, don't get discouraged. Don't get jaded. There's going to be some people that you encounter that are not the right people, and you just need to move forward. And I think that to me was so liberating because when I was dating, I got rejected, quote unquote, more than ever before, but it didn't get me down in the way it once did. I was like, okay, cool. I uncovered this person is not it. I'm going to go on another date and see if this person could be it. It was like almost like a discovery because in my mind, I knew that it was going to come eventually. It was just more of like quickly figuring out that like this person wasn't going to be that person.
Right. Nikki Novo. Everybody should just go to Nikki Novo. I mean, that's
setting her all the business.
Solution.
Yeah, it really is. No, but I think it's a reminder. One, it's okay to feel this way. Everyone feels like dating is personal. That's the other thing I've learned is that no one doesn't take dating personally. I think I used to think like, oh, other people have it so easy. Like they're always getting dates and everyone has struggles. So that's one thing that's maybe reassuring in a weird way. And then the other piece is like, eventually when you meet your person, you're going to realize why all the other people didn't work out.
Right. It all falls into place. It's all going to make sense, and it'll keep making sense.
Or check up on your exes, and then you'll be like, yep,
Oh.
okay, it wasn't personal.
Yikes. Yikes. Going down that rabbit hole.
You're like, oh, you're still doing the same stuff. Okay, not personal.
Right. Yeah, just make sure that you don't end up in that loop. Your exes can be the ones not growing and stuck where they were when you were dating them. But you don't have to. You
No.
can keep growing, progressing, living your best damn life.
Okay, well, hopefully
Cool.
this resonated with whoever needed to hear it today. Dating isn't as personal as we make it.
It's not. And we'll be back next week.
Make sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast. Subscribe to the podcast to get the larger, long-form episodes that we do every Tuesday. They come out, and we'll see you here next week for another one of these catch-ups.
Bye.
Bye.